Okay, so good afternoon, students. Today we are going to see some concepts in hypothesis testing. The basic what is hypothesis, then what are different types of hypothesis, and then we will see some examples also of null and alternate hypothesis. Okay, so what is hypothesis? That first, let us see. Okay, so this is our content hypothesis and hypothesis testing. What are different types? Then types of errors, p value, and normal curve. Okay, so there are few terms which we must know with respect to hypothesis. Okay, so those terms also we are going to study and interpret the meaning of those terms. Right, so what is hypothesis? Okay, now hypothesis, its plural form is hypothesis. Okay, it is nothing but a precise assumption, or we can also say that it is a testable statement of what a researcher predict will be the outcome of the study. Means what? That the researcher first make the assumption about the study. Okay, what is the expected outcome from the research? So a certain statement is made with respect to hypothesis. Okay, and then through the study the researcher try to prove that hypothesis, whether that hypothesis is proved, or that is accepted, or it may be rejected. Okay, so hypothesis in short is nothing but one statement that is made by the researcher with respect to his or her research study. So, in another words, we can say that hypothesis is an assumption which is tested to determine the relationship between two data sets. Okay, so two data sets can be dependent and independent variables or data sets. Data set is, for example, the customer data set is there, sales data set is there. Okay, then maybe quality related inventory data set is there. So different types of data sets are there, and in hypothesis testing there are always two variables which are involved. One is dependent variable and another is independent variable. Okay, and hypothesis always try to establish relationship between these two variables. Okay, we will see the example. So when we talk about a hypothesis testing, we are going one step ahead. Hypothesis testing is nothing but a statistical test. Okay, we use certain types of statistical test or formulas for determining whether the hypothesis that the researcher has assumed for the sample of data it stands true for the entire population or not. Okay, in research what happens, there is a population. Okay, say for example you are conducting a study on consumer behavior. Okay, so consumer behavior with respect to online shopping, for example, this is your research. Okay, so who is your customer? Those who are visiting your website, and those also who are not visiting your website, they can be your prospective customer. Okay, so you are trying to identify the consumer behavior. What is his behavior when he is shopping online, right? So his perception or whether his buying decision is your outcome. What is he, whether he is thinking positive about the buying or negative about buying certain thing, that is the outcome. And what is the input for this uh, consumer buying behavior? There are various parameters: the income of the consumer, his mood. Okay, what is his necessity, whether he is brand conscious or not. Okay, or his styling pattern, affordability. Okay, so there are so many things, liking, disliking, and so many things that are component and that results into creation of a consumer behavior. Okay, so this is one example. So you can have the data related to you can prepare a questionnaire and you can ask various questions to the consumer. Okay, what is your name, what is your the basic details you can ask. Then you can ask the questions related to his behavior or his purchases. What are his intentions behind buying certain thing? Whether he would like to shop in a mall or he visits to general store. Okay, whether which type of payment pattern he uses, whether he is using card or cash. Okay, what is whether he decides the range of the price in advance, what he would like to buy, of what brand, and so on and so forth. So there are different types of questions you can ask the consumer. Okay, and depending on that you can take the data from different users. Okay, so in whenever you are talking about the buyers or consumers, okay, there is an entire population, so you have to define a scope, whether your scope is restricted to consumers in Pune city, or whether you wanted to conduct this consumer study for one particular locality where you are staying. So that is how we are defining a scope. So population is very big. Population of entire Pune district is 1 crore, more than 1 crore. Okay, population of Pune district, but you cannot reach to 1 crore people. So you take out a sample. So sample can be, let's say, 300 respondents in your locality, and you circulate the questionnaire to them. So that 300 is your sample. Okay, and 1 crore is your population. So you conduct certain statistical test of hypothesis. You assume certain, you make certain assumption related to consumer buying behavior. Consumer is positive, or consumer have has a positive response towards the online shopping. This is your statement. Okay, so you collect the data from the 300 respondents, and from these 300 sample you predict, or you state your hypothesis for entire population, whether it is true or whether it is false. That is nothing but we call it as an hypothesis testing. Okay, so in hypothesis testing we apply the statistical test to certain sample of data, say in this case 300 sample. Okay, and then you assume it for the entire population. Okay, you project that hypothesis for the entire population, right? So this is nothing but the hypothesis testing. Now, there are two types of hypothesis. Okay, one is called as null hypothesis, which is denoted by H naught or H0, and there is another type of hypothesis that is called as alternative hypothesis, that is H1. Okay, so what is null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is the statement which asserts that there is no difference between the sample statistics and the population parameter, and is the one which is being tested. So in the null hypothesis we state that mean of population 1 is equal to mean of the sample. So mu1, let's say in the red, you can see in the red color, the hypothesis is denoted by H naught is equal to mu1 is equal to mu2. So what is mu1? Mu1 is the sample mean of the sample, and mu2 is the mean of the population. Okay, so in null hypothesis we state that mu1 is equal to mu2, it is same. Okay, whereas in the alternative hypothesis we state that which stands true if the null hypothesis is rejected. So when the null hypothesis is rejected, we accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so what is alternative hypothesis? Alternative hypothesis is denoted by H1 is equal to mu1 is not equal to mu2. That means sample mean and population mean are not the same, they are different. So different means what? The mu1 can be greater than mu2, mu1 can be less than mu2. There are these two things, because whenever it is equal, it is called as null hypothesis. And whenever it is not equal, so not equal means it can be less than or it can be greater than. So when these are the two cases, then it is nothing but called as the alternative hypothesis. So in many of the cases, okay, we always try and prove to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, in alternative hypothesis, whatever the hypothesis that we want to prove, we want that it should be true, we always state it as alternative hypothesis. And the null hypothesis is the one which we intend to reject. Okay, that is mu1 is equal to mu2, right, which is not always the case. So that is why in many of the cases null hypothesis is rejected and we accept the alternative hypothesis. So these are only these two types of hypothesis, null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So just remember that alternative hypothesis is the one which we would like to prove or which we want to accept. Now these are the examples of null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, suppose we want to test if college students take less than 5 years to graduate from the college. Okay, we are taking one survey, and in that survey we wanted to find out how many years a college student is taking to graduate. So generally graduation is of 3 years, for example, if you are talking about BA, BSc, BCom. In case of engineering it is for 5 years, and in case of architecture it is of 5 sorry, engineering it is 4 years and architecture it is 5 years, like that. Okay, but in general, like BCom, BSc, we want to test if the college students take less than 5 years to graduate from the college on an average. Okay, so the null and alternative hypothesis are, so how we can define the null and alternative hypothesis? The null hypothesis can be mu is greater than equal to 5, and alternative hypothesis is, sorry, uh, this is the one which the student take less than 5 years. Okay, so less than 5 years we want, the result should be less than 5 years. So what we want to prove, we always define it as alternative. So HA, that stands for alternative hypothesis, that is mu is less than 5 years, which we want to prove. Okay, and opposite of it is H naught, that is mu is equal to, it has to be equal to, okay, mu is equal to 5 years. Okay, so that is how we define null and alternate hypothesis. Take another example. We want to test whether the mean height of 8th standard students is 66 inches. So we want to find out the mean height of 8th standard student, whether it is a 66 inches or less than or greater than it. Okay, so we have to fill in the correct symbol. So it can be equal to, it is not equal to, it is greater than equal to, less than equal to, and greater than. Okay, so now in this case what we want to do, we want to test whether the mean height of 8th standard student is 66 inches. Okay, so the null hypothesis is mu is not equal to 66 inches. Okay, see, in alternative hypothesis we have defined, alternative hypothesis is mu1 is not equal to mu2. Okay, so in similar fashion we define here the alternative hypothesis as mu is not equal to 66 and H naught is mu is equal to 66. Okay, so that is how we define the null and alternative hypothesis. Now again, a car dealership announces that the mean time for an oil change is less than 15 minutes. So what is the mean time that is required for oil change, whether it is less than 15 minutes? Okay, so generally it should be less than 15 minutes. So whatever we want to accept, we write it as alternative. Okay, so Alternative hypothesis states that the mu is less than 15. Okay, and on contrary, the opposite of alternative is always null. So null states that mu is less than or equal to 15. Okay, because in alternative we want it should be less than. So opposite of alternative is h naught. So it has to be either more than or equal to 15. So mu is greater than or equal to 15 is the null hypothesis, and alternative is mu is less than 15. See, it is not always the case that mu h naught is always mu1 is equal to mu2. It is always opposite of what is alternative. So if the alternative is, let's say, saying mu is less than 15, okay, then null hypothesis states that it has to be greater than or equal to 15. Okay, so like that, there are these examples of hypothesis, how we can define null and alternative hypothesis. Then there is something called as p-value. Whenever we conduct different tests of hypothesis, we run the test of hypothesis testing like correlation analysis, multiple regression, t-test, z-test, okay, chi-square test. In the result, we always see there is something value that is called as p-value. Now, what is p-value? Whenever we perform certain statistical test, a p-value helps you to determine the significance of your result. So significance of your result in relation to the null hypothesis. Okay. So what is the significance level of your result? So depending on the value of p value is probability value. P is nothing but probability value. So depending on your p value, okay, depending on your p value, you prove or you accept or reject your hypothesis. So p value is very significant, plays a very significant role in your hypothesis testing, right? So the level of statistical significance is often expressed as p value between 0 and 1. Okay, probability value is always we define between 0 and 1. So when probability value is 0, that means it is definitely false. Okay, 100% chances that it is not going to happen, and probability 1 is 100% chances of happening of certain event. Okay, so that are the statistical significance values 0 and 1. Okay, so whenever smaller is the p value, then the stronger is the evidence that you reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so smaller p value, it means we reject the null hypothesis and we accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, the next is a p value less than 0.05. Okay, generally we have to see the p value and we have to see the uh, we have to compare the p values. So p value less than 0.05, typically less than 0.05 is statistically significant. So whenever your p value is less than 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis and we accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, this is how we should interpret the p value. And if your p value is more than 0.05, okay, it means that it is not statistically significant. For example, if your p value is 0.06, 0.07, 0.1, 0.12, like that, it means that your result is not statistically significant and it indicates the strong evidence for null hypothesis. That means we tend to accept the null hypothesis and we reject the alternative one. Okay, so this is a kind of unfavorable result. So we should always see that p value should be less than 0.05. It depends on what is your research hypothesis, what are your values. Okay, in most of the cases, we try to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative one. So this is how we interpret the p-value, right? So in statistics, what is p-value? P-value is nothing but probability of obtaining result as extreme as the observed values of statistical hypothesis test, assuming that the null hypothesis is correct. P-value is also used as an alternative to rejection points to provide the smallest level of significance at which the null hypothesis would be rejected. Okay, so 0.05 is the smallest level of significance. Okay, where the null hypothesis is rejected. So smaller the p-value, stronger is the evidence in favor of alternative hypothesis. Okay, now that is p-value. Okay, the next is degree of freedom. There is something called as degree of freedom. So degree of freedom is defined as n minus 1. Okay, what is n? N is nothing but sample size. Suppose your sample size is 300 respondents. That means you are collecting the data from 300 respondents, then your n is equal to 300. Okay, so degree of freedom is nothing but n minus 1. So n minus 1 is 300 minus 1, that is 299 is your degree of freedom. Okay, so degree of freedom is always sample size minus 1. So broadly defined as the number of observations, that is pieces of information in the data that are free to vary when estimating the statistical parameters. So there is this much percent of variation is allowed. Okay, that is nothing but n minus 1, so 299. So strong evidence. Okay, we always wanted to have the strong evidence for our research. Then there is something called as significance level and confidence interval. Okay, now what is nothing but the significance level. So significance level is nothing but defined as alpha. Okay, so to get alpha, subtract your confidence level. So confidence level is suppose 0.95 from 1. So when we subtract 0.95 from 1, how much we get? Yes, when we subtract, yes, 1 minus 0.95, so we get 0.05. So we just spoke about the p-value. Okay, in p-value we always see that our p-value should be less than 0.05. So that is nothing but the significance level. 0.05 is our significance level, that is called as alpha. Okay, and remaining part, that is 95%, 0.95 is our confidence interval. That means, see, 1 is divided into two parts. Okay, that is 0.95 and 0.05. So 0.95 is nothing but the confidence region. Okay, and 0.05 is our rejection region. Okay, whenever we see the bell curve, I will tell you that confidence interval we always tend to define at 95%. Whenever in research, researcher whenever asked what is your confidence interval, so researcher says that my confidence interval is 95%. That means there are 5% chances of happening of errors, and 95% is my confidence interval or confidence level. Some researchers always also keep 99% confidence interval. Okay, so 99% and 1% the chances of errors. That means 99% is confidence interval, that is 0.99, that is the confidence level, and zero point zero 0.01 is the level of significance. So it depends on the researcher. Generally, the researchers, they always keep the confidence interval as 0.95. Some also can keep 0.97 and zero point zero 0.03 as a significance level, or if it is confidence interval is 99%, then the significance level can be 0.01. Okay, so like that, confidence interval and significance level always go hand in hand. Okay, so for example, if we want to be 95% confidence that your analysis is correct, the alpha level would be 1 minus 90.95, that is 5%. So this is how we interpret p value, degree of freedom, significance level, and confidence interval. See, all these terms that I am explaining, these are important in order to understand the result of the hypothesis test. Okay, so these are few terms and concepts which are related to the hypothesis testing. The first is level of significance. So I have already told you what is level of significance. Refer to the degree of significance in which we accept or reject the null hypothesis. So 100% accuracy is not always possible. Whenever we are conducting research, you cannot guarantee that I will get 100% result. Okay, so we therefore select the level of significance is usually 5% or it can be 1%. Okay, hello, are you there? Yeah, so level of significance is one thing. Then there are two types of errors that are there in the hypothesis testing. One is called as type 1 error and another is called as type 2 error. What is type 1 error? Type 1 error is that when we reject the null hypothesis, although that hypothesis was true, sometimes, okay, we reject the null hypothesis, although that hypothesis stands to be true, that time type 1 error occurs. Okay, so probability of committing type 1 error we can calculate. The researchers can calculate the probability of calculation of type 1 error. It is denoted by letter alpha. Okay, type 1 error is denoted by alpha and type 2 error is denoted by letter beta. So in hypothesis testing, the normal curve that shows the critical region is called as the alpha region. Okay, I will show you the curve. Okay, let me see. So this is the normal curve. Okay, this is the normal curve, and this is the major value. Okay, these are the your observation values. Suppose observation 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, like this. Here some 90, then again 80, 70, 30, 40, 30, 20, 10, like that. Okay, so whenever you map your observations on the graph, you come to see that your graph is like this. So this is called as a normal curve. Okay, so this is nothing but the acceptance region, or we also call it as a non-rejection region, this white color, and the region of rejection is shown by the dotted line. Okay, so these two lines, that is nothing but called as alpha region. Okay, so alpha region, it stands on both the sides, right side as well as left side. So alpha region is totally divided into two types. On right hand side we see alpha by 2, that is half of the portion, and on the left hand side again half of the portion. So that is why it is denoted as half 1 upon 2, that is half of alpha, and this side half region of alpha. So this red red color region, it is called as a rejection region. So whenever your p value is less than less value, it lie in the rejection region. Okay, see, this is the critical value. Okay, so critical value is shown using this arrow, that is dotted line. So whenever your significance value is live in this red region, okay, when it is less than 0.05, either on the positive side or reject or the negative side, we say that it is a rejection region and we reject the null hypothesis. So reject HO. On the top of this normal curve, you can see reject HO, do not reject HO, and again reject HO. Okay, so reject null hypothesis. HO is null hypothesis, so reject null hypothesis whenever your value lie in this red region, or when it is less than 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. And whenever it is lie in the acceptance region, okay, that is 1 minus alpha, then it is called as a acceptance region or non rejection region, right? So so that is type 1 error occurs when is alpha, we are able to calculate the alpha. Okay, so we reject the null hypothesis although that hypothesis was true. Then type 2 error. What is type 2 error? When we accept, so type 2 is opposite of type 1. So in type 2 we accept the null hypothesis even though it is false. That time type 2 error occurs. Okay, so the probability of committing the type 2 error is denoted by letter beta. So in hypothesis testing, the normal curve shows the acceptance region is called as the beta region. So this region, just wait, what happened to my slide? So 1 minus alpha is actually denoted as beta. Okay, so beta is nothing but your your type 2 error occurs. Okay, just a moment. Now I'll just show you one of the article or ebook is there. Okay, on this EBSCO. EBSCO, we have a subscription of EBSCO. So there is this book called Introduction to Business Analytics by Majid Nabawi and David Olson. Okay, so they have, it is very nice book actually to understand. It is no, it is very simple language. Okay, and you can easily understand all the concepts, basic concepts with related to hypothesis testing, what is analytics. So basically understanding what is analytics and different types and all that. I'll show you the index also. This is the book, Business Expert Press. Yes, so this book is, it will give you the business information. Chapter 1 is business analytics, so it will explain you what is business analytics, what are its types, okay, how you visualize data in business analytics, what is sampling, what is hypothesis testing. And then in hypothesis testing, it will demonstrate, show you the demonstration of how we can perform the regression analysis, multiple regression, logistic regression, and business analytical modeling tools. Okay, so I have gone through this, and it is very in easy language. They have defined in very easy language, they have defined this concepts in analytics. Okay, so we'll go to page number 41. sorry, 41 nahi, 43. Yeah, so for chapter 4 is hypothesis testing. So they have defined what is hypothesis. Okay, so it is a statement about the phenomenon and trying to explain the population parameter, right? So example, they have also given the example, an example of effect of training program for customer service agents at the help desk can tell and can well explain the hypothesis testing. After each call, customer service receive a short survey to rate the service on four criteria using the scale of 1 extremely satisfied to 5 extremely dissatisfied. So you can give a scale and you can take the feedback from the customer. In such cases, you can define the hypothesis. So what can be the criteria? Here they have given the example. Suppose customer service. So what can be the criteria for evaluating the customer service? Say timeliness of service, courtesy of agent, level of information offered to the customer, and overall satisfaction about the service. So like that, you can give the score to your scale, highly satisfied to dissatisfied, like that, and maximum of 20, like that. You can collect the data and you can apply the statistical test to that data. Okay, then again this also explain the hypothesis testing process. What is alternative HA and null hypothesis, that is H naught. Okay, so alternative hypothesis, it states that the employee, for example, employee training program will increase the customer satisfaction. Whenever a training program is offered to the employee, it will help in increasing the customer satisfaction. Okay, so after the training program, the mean customer rating score should be higher. Suppose whenever you are collecting the data on the scale of 1 to 5, suppose 5 is highly satisfied scale. Okay, so after training program you should get the high customer rating, which will state or which will prove that your employee training is more effective and it increases the customer satisfaction. So it is denoted by mu is greater than mu naught. Okay, sample and alternative, sorry, sample and population mean. On the other side, null hypothesis can be opposite of alternative. So it means that employee training program has no effect on customer satisfaction. It does not have effect, or it has a negative effect. That can be our null hypothesis. So the mean customer rating score will not be higher after the training program. So in cases where the training program is offered, but still the employees are dissatisfied about the training program or giving the low rating, okay, on the scale of 0 to 1 to 5, if they are giving low rating, then it it is the case of alternative hypothesis, sorry, null hypothesis. So in this case, null hypothesis will be mu is less than equal to mu naught. So it is less. Okay, the value would be less. So like this, the here the examples are given. You can also state the hypothesis in terms of numerical values, like I gave you the example. The mean height of or the mean profit level of the employees working in XYZ organization can be 10,000, like that. So in terms of the values, you predict certain values and then try to prove or disprove your hypothesis. Or you can also state your hypothesis in general terms, like this: employee training program will increase the customer satisfaction. Okay, so this is how you define different types of hypothesis. Okay, so in this book, you just go through this book. You have a EBSCO this thing, yeah. So once you go to EBSCO, what you can do is you can type in search hypothesis testing. Okay, related to business analytics, like that you give, and then you will come across this book. Okay, So yeah, so you just go through this, have a look at how we interpret the values, and how then we will try to tomorrow execute these tests using R. हम्म, ठीक है. And just a moment. Fine. So have you understood what is hypothesis, what is alternative, what is null? Hmm. Once again. Yes, yes, yes. You go through the video link. You do it, because next lectures we are going to solve or perform the hypothesis testing in R. Okay. So you need to interpret the values of P, what is confidence interval, what is null, alternative. All these we are going to interpret. Hello, hello. Now, yeah. So what I'm saying is, you go through this video. You also go through this book. Okay. Yeah. So because whenever we will be solving the performing the test in R, we need to understand what and we need to interpret the results also. Okay.